Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Relay Station. We don't have a proper intro this week because Eris is battling a house-sized moose. However, we do have three wonderful people with us this week, and then me. With me this week are Shiver Bathory. Say hi, Shiver.
Hello. Hi, Shiver.
Nitro Typad.
Hi, Shiver.
And the always amazing Desmarius.
Howdy, Shiver. How you doing?
I'm fine. And yourself? Are you rootin' tootin' really good?
Pretty good.
Oh boy, it's gonna be a fun show. So, how's everyone else doing today? How are the viewers doing? Hi, viewers. There's 31 of you as I speak. And thank you for joining us. So, what happened this week? Well, we had Evocati are still doing their Evocation. And we had the Legacy Armor update on ATV, and Burn Down, and a few other tidbits. But let's start with Burn Down. What did you guys think of the progress this week? Did you watch the Burn Down section?
I've gotten quite bad. I've been skipping Burn Down the last couple ATVs.
Skipping Burn Down.
Yeah. Give me the
Not
juicy
literally,
bits.
obviously.
Give you the juicy bits?
Yeah.
Probably the most interesting part that came out of that was that they saw the need for a faster ability to travel without using quantum drive. For example, if you somehow get outside of, like, you aren't close enough to any quantum jump point. So they've implemented stage 2 afterburners. So basically, if you're going along in a straight line for a long time, and after you've hit your maximum speed, it will kick in another afterburner, which will push you up to a higher speed. If you move at all or change your throttle at all, it'll kick back down to a lower speed, but it allows you to go faster without being in quantum drive. And then they had they were testing the game loop of basically trading stuff between Olisar, Grimhex, and Levski, and it worked fairly well, but the UI was super janky. So they're working on that.
Oh,
So
yeah,
no,
I think
what do
I
you guys-
saw.
what did you guys
I
think?
saw a GIF of that where like all the items look like that missing Pokemon from the old like Game Boy Color, the like glitch Pokemon that was just like a bunch of pixels. Yeah.
Yep. So Shiv, what did you think of Burn Down this week?
I actually thought it was a nice bit of progress. I know it. When was it? 23 last week, 25 this week, criticals and overall. But that is progress because this shopping thing needs to get done. I do remember, I can't remember specifically who said it, but they did say, for what it's worth, when you buy an item, it pretty much always ends up where it's supposed to go. So they're not too worried about that. So the basic mechanic of X item needs to be in X point is working. It's just that front end that they need to get working properly, which must be fiddly flipping work.
Yeah, the UI seems to be their biggest problem right now. Desmarius, what did you think of Burn Down this week?
I kind of concur with what they just got through saying, but the thing is that as we get closer and closer to CitizenCon, it seems like the burn down is getting longer and longer, and they're really getting in more and more depth to seeing what we're seeing. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying they're showing us more in depth of what it is like to kind of debug and get things ready. Yeah. And it seems like the more that they show me, that, you know, like I'm sure there's some people out there that are salty that it went from 23 to 25 without realizing, you know, what was fixed and what came about, but it's still progress. Mm-hmm. And it's all in the right direction. It's all with the right goal in mind for quality, not just putting it out there and making another quote unquote Mass Effect Andromeda type of situation, you know?
Yeah, I was mentioning to Shiver earlier that one thing I've been quite impressed by is it seems like, you know, they prepared the Evocati the first EvoCuddy release as traversal, so it's basically like go places and do stuff, but don't shop or do combat. And what I've noticed on Burndown is that piece seems to be working very well. Like, they basically don't mention it at all. I think it's actually kind of impressive that they released it to the EvoCuddy, and seems to have been pretty smooth. From my perspective, not being an EvoCuddy member. But all of their discussions are around fixing the kiosk shopping cargo commodity bugs. So that's pretty cool. It should also be noted that on the production schedule report on Friday, they were down from 25 to 20 bugs, and there's only one blocker on that list. So that's some more improvement.
We have a request of you because Shadenturg just subscribed, so someone's got to do the wave.
Well, I'll do the wave, right?
Wave away.
Woo! Thank you very much, Shadenturg. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And why is Eris never here for the wave? Jeez.
He's just lucky, I guess.
That? Yeah.
I think he knows, so he keeps skipping out on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty interesting stuff this week. I actually kind of enjoy watching those big board meetings where they're talking about, where they're at and where they like, well, this build is broken, we need to rebuild it, and trying to sync up the EvoCuddy builds with the live release build so that they aren't that far away when they get to the end of the EvoCuddy. It's pretty interesting. But yes, you are right. It has been creeping up in length. I think the one this week was like 23 minutes long. So yeah, it's getting up there. So I wanted to ask people, actually right now I'm going to kind of skip out of things that really happened this week into things that are going to happen. What do you guys think of the new setup for CitizenCon? Let's start with Nitro.
I don't know much about it. I only tuned into, what's it called? What's the Friday show called again?
Happy Hour.
Happy Hour. Yeah, that's the one. I only tuned into Happy Hour for a few seconds, and I heard that they were changing the format of the show, or of the con. But I didn't really catch many of the details. But I think it's interesting.
Here you go. I will send you the schedule so you can take a look at it, and I'll send it to all of those beautiful viewers. So at 1500 local times, that's 3 p.m., it will be the CitizenCon opening address by Chris Roberts. Half an hour later will be the enhancing mocap data with procedural systems with Ivo Herzig, Jason Cole, and Stephen Bender. An hour later will be graphics and tech development for Star Engine with Alistair Brown and Sean Tracy. The next hour after that is Geon History, Physiology, and Language with Josh Herman, David Haddock, and Britton Watkins. The final panel, actually, no, not the final panel. The fourth panel is the Art and Tech of Stanton with Ian Leyland, Pascal Muller, and Michael Cooper. And then the final panel is the Consolidated Outland Pioneer with Paul Jones, Todd Pappy, and John Crew. And then finally, at 9 p.m. local time, is the CitizenCon keynote address by Chris Roberts.
Wow. 6 hours later in Germany, that keynote.
6 hours later.
What are you going to kebab?
Yeah, they're going to have to limit Chris's beers to a couple before the keynote address.
This could be one of the most interesting CitizenCons.
Yeah, I agree. You know what it really reminded me of?
What?
really not, that's citizen that's 6 hours before the keynote address, which could be an hour plus. So I think it's going to be somewhere between 7 and 8 hours long. What it really reminds me of is the town hall that happened a couple of years ago. It was set up very similar to this, where they had different panels and they discussed like really in-depth stuff about the game. And I loved that event, and I think that this is a really cool setup. It does mean that for those of us like me who will be doing streaming to cover the event, we're going to be watching and or live for the better part of 8 or 9 hours.
Oh my god.
Well, actually, probably closer to 10 if we do an hour pre-show and an hour post-show. So it's going to be a long day.
Would that be like 2 p.m. UTC, though? We'd be doing a pre-show, so wouldn't that be stupidly early for most of Relay?
Most of Relay. I don't know who all is going to be on our coverage. I think me and David are definitely going to be on. For me, it's going to be about it's UTC plus 2, so it's going to be about 6 a.m. when the show starts, so 5 a.m. when our pre-show starts. Yeah, I'll get up, but I'll be a little blurry. Blurry and bleary.
Lots of coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be
2 o'clock for me. Yeah, same.
Come on. But yeah, Desmarius, what do you think of the new layout for CitizenCon?
Well, 2 different thoughts. One, I was just looking over, since I've been away for about 2 weeks, just looking over the venue, and the venue looked really, really nice. I don't know, I couldn't tell size-wise how it compared to the one in LA that y'all went to before, but I did notice that it had 2 levels. It had a balcony, and hopefully that gives them a little bit more capacity to get more folks in there. And it looked gorgeous. It looked absolutely gorgeous. Looked like plenty of room. Hopefully it won't be stuffed in there like sardines. And then I just looked over the different schedules, and it looked like they had panels going on at the same time. They had different streaming shows going on. I'm like, my goodness, there's so much to watch and be a part of, and try and absorb, that and I'm not saying that every bit of it will be a thrill ride. There will be probably some quote unquote filler type of material, but I think there'll be something for everyone there, whether you're more into the technical network type issues, the graphical, the animation, or the actual meat of the game,
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just answering Breebles' question here. I'm going to put it in chat, but I'll also mention it live. Our pre-show is likely to go live about 4 a.m. Pacific time or 7 a.m. Eastern time that day. So it's going to be an early morning, folks. This is what happens when CitizenCon is in Frankfurt, and it's 8 hours long. Yeah.
But, people going really got their money's worth on a ticket this year.
Yeah, actually, that was what I was thinking. I was thinking, man, this would have been an amazing CitizenCon to actually attend. And I had
now everyone's saying that. When it was, I was making the choice between should I get a ticket or not, which admittedly would have been about 20 seconds in real time. But, everyone was like, oh, it's Frankfurt. No one else is going to go. It's going to be just, CitizenCon. Like, now
they didn't tell anybody until well after the tickets were gone that it was going to be this crazy 8-10 hour event. I just hope the next CitizenCon is in the States so I can sit here and complain about how the States gets all the cons and Europe gets nothing. Great. Well, I can definitely say that you're all doing much better than Canada, which should have all the cons because we're the best. I wanted to take a moment to talk about the Consolidated Outland Pioneer. Anybody have any urgent thoughts about this ship?
I was excited that Consolidated Outlands was putting out another ship. I think it's a kind of a cool premise lore-wise as far as the company's concerned.
Yeah.
With it being called a Pioneer, it kind of makes me think a little bit, gives more credence to maybe a ship that creates or is a construction ship, a planet-side construction ship of some sort,
or a colonization ship, yeah.
Right.
It has been confirmed by CIG that this is the game changer ships that they were talking about. So I think it's very likely that it will construct outposts or star bases or be a colonization type craft, something like that. They're also devoting at least an hour to it. If you look at the schedule, it could even be an hour and a half, because that panel starts at 7:30 local time, and the keynote address doesn't start till 9. So anywhere between an hour and an hour and a half will be dedicated to that ship. I suspect they'll talk a lot about the mechanics surrounding it. Now, given that it is a game changer and by all accounts and appearances a fairly large ship, what do you guys think of the $850 US price tag?
As cool as the ship.
Can I say it because I think I'm the angriest one here out of the lot of us.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck, dude? You haven't given us any content for nearly a motherfucking year. All right, and you're asking for $850 for a ship? You're going to get it. Yeah, you're going to get it. Jesus Christ, CIG. Could you at least show us a bit of Starship ankle or something in exchange for that? Because, come on, it's drier than the Sahara out here for content, and we're desperate for something new. Now you're charging $850 for a ship. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be nice. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be big. Yeah, you're limiting it in numbers, so it's going to be exclusive for whatever reason. But still, could you at least soften the blow by saying, here's a $30 ship as well if you don't want the $850 ship?
Yeah.
That would be nice. But then, we did just have the space bike with your legs dangling out. But I don't want a fucking space bike now. I want a reasonably priced ship to expand my smaller collection, not an $850 ship. You're asking an awful lot there, and you haven't given us much this year.
So,
make Star Citizen great again. There you go.
I do agree with you that the price tag is pretty high. I think the reason the price tag I'll always be the person who goes, okay, that seems douchey. Why is it douchey? I think the reasoning here is that it's probably quite large, first of all. And second of all, it's a new game mechanic. I think that's probably the key, but it's going to have to be huge. Like, it's going to have to be almost the size of a capital ship at that price. But I agree with you. I would much prefer to see some other smaller ships come in too. We need medium-sized mining ships. We need smaller salvage ships. We need lots of other ships that don't exist.
Just give me a mini reclaimer. I want a reclaimer,
absolutely.
But I don't want it gigantic.
This little tiny ship that just eats other ships.
Exactly, yeah.
Like a piranha.
Oh, it could be the real space crab. It could have giant claws that, like... Oh, now I got my gears turning. I'm excited.
Yeah, I am kind of surprised we hadn't got, like, some in-between 2- and 3-man ships, I know you could fly a Constellation with just 2 or 3 men, and you could fly a Freelancer that way, although that's almost a full crew, but just kind of surprises. And, of course, I know that Squadron 42 is in the front lines, no pun intended, and Star Citizen is kind of going to be later, but still, it'd be nice.
So, now for the nasty bit, that a lot of people were happy and sad about. Squadron 42 is not present at CitizenCon this year.
Oh, yeah.
But it has now been promised, but in as firm a wordage as I've ever seen CIG use, that they're going to show it at the holiday live stream, hopefully to make up for last year's holiday live stream. What do you guys think of that? Des, go ahead.
Well, I think it can only be better than last year's holiday live stream. That's for one thing, probably.
It can't be worse.
That's exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Don't challenge them.
Yeah. Don't let Jared hear you say that. If you do, he may take it as a challenge. But yeah. I'm glad that we're going to finally get to see something. I'll have a little bit of salt if they don't. I say that I'll have a little bit of salt if they don't come up with something by Christmas. Something could always happen, that's understandable. But they promised us a vertical slice, wasn't it, last year? And they have kind of delayed that for good reasons. But hopefully we'll see it this Christmas.
I do think that's what we're going to see. What they said was that they'll be showing gameplay, so I imagine that's what we're looking at. So that should be interesting. Now, Shiver, what do you think of the delay?
They did say they were going to try for CitizenCon, but it didn't happen. It's good that they're saying they're going to try and get out for the holiday live stream, and the only way to make that better is actually have Squadron shown off and Melissa doing the presentation. That's all I ask.
And Nitro?
I'm glad that they disclosed it as early as they did, because it seems like the last couple times they've done an event that they haven't really told us what is going to be there and what isn't going to be there until like 5 minutes before the presentation. And then that's when everybody's like all up in outrage because they were really excited and now they're really angry and they don't have any time to cool off before they're shown what they were, what they weren't expecting, and not in a good way. So the fact that they gave it to us like a couple weeks early, people were kind of like, oh, what the heck? And then now it's kind of like, okay, well, if they're not showing that, then I can't wait to see what they are going to show us.
I think that a lot of us were really happy that they took that feedback properly, because one of the biggest complaints we had last year was not just that it wasn't shown, but the way it was communicated. Like, the same, like, it was almost during the presentation when they're like, yeah, we're not going to show Squadron. Mm-hmm. It's like, excuse me? And I know it actually let down the team at CIG too, that they had to announce that so late, and it just sort of put a bit of a pall over CitizenCon. So I really think that getting out ahead of it 2 weeks early is much, much better planning. I understand, but they really, really, really need to start getting Squadron out the door. They got to get from the design phase into the polish phase, because it's just, it can't drag on forever. I mean, you think about it, it's probably going to be between 2.5 and 3 years after those performances were done when the game actually comes out. So
how long could they? I mean, you could spend literally years just doing polish work. You could spend half a year doing polish work. That's one of the issues as well. And Chris isn't known for doing half-assed jobs on things, so
exactly,
it could be a long time for polish work.
That's why I'm sort of, they need to get into that phase, because I've always expected once they're like, okay, it's ready, that it would take 6 to 9 months of just constant polish for them to get a releasable product. So, it would be nice to see them turn that corner from now we're going to put it. But I mean, I do think the game will be better than it would have been beforehand. They added a lot of stuff to it. Being able to traverse the whole solar system in the actual single player campaign will be cool, as well as the surface of the planets and everything. But it has come at the cost of time. I think it'll be probably if they actually bring it out and they show it, it'll probably be the best holiday live stream they've ever had by a significant margin. Mm-hmm. you almost wouldn't want to try and compare and contrast it to the last one if it does come about. Which of those panels are you guys most interested in watching this year at CitizenCon? So we have enhancing mocap data with procedural systems, graphics, and tech development for Star Engine, Xi'an history, physiology, and language, the art and tech of Stanton, and the Consolidated Outland Pioneer. And go ahead, Nitro.
I'd probably have to say the graphics and tech development, because I always really like seeing the behind the scenes of how the looks of the game evolve, not from like an aesthetic sense, but as a tech sense. Like, oh man, our characters can actually sweat now. Check that out. It's really cool. I'm also looking forward to like the Xi'an like language stuff, because Xi'an is one of the languages that I'm actually tempted to try and learn, because of the fact that the culture around the Xi'an is very interesting to me, and I really want to interact a lot with those NPCs once the game is out.
Oh yeah, you like turtles, don't you?
I like turtles, and they're based on like what, Japanese, Chinese, like hierarchy stuff. So it's like two of my favorite things going together.
So Shiver, which one of those panels are you most interested in?
Well, seeing as how Nitro's usurped me and said the graphics and tech development, you bastard, I'll go with the Citizen keynote address.
Oh, you're going right to the keynote address.
Yeah, because straight to the jugular, I'm hoping for updated roadmap, where they think 3.0 is in terms of development, so we can start placing bets on live Christmas release or not. I'm excited. That's basically what I want is roadmaps, what they've been working on, what they're working towards. And I want to see Chris get happy and excited about Star Citizen.
Yeah, totally. I'm actually in that vein. I'm really curious once we have 3.0 out of the way to see how much of that work that was on the global schedule they actually got done. Because there's a whole bunch of things that are supposed to be worked on in the background right now that they're just not talking about. But if you look on the global schedule for the 3.x releases, like I think by this point a few of the other planets are supposed to be done, and a whole bunch of ships and like a bunch of core tech that would be coming in like 3.1, 3.2. So I'm curious to see how much of that they have done, or if 3.0 really distracted them. And Des, which one of those panels are you most interested in seeing?
There's no wrong answer, Des.
Des, you are muted.
I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
We just thought you were thinking really
facial
arduously.
expression.
Country coming down. Yeah, really thoughtful here. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to crawl out from underneath my rock this morning. No, I hate to repeat, but kind of along the same lines as Nitro. I really dig any of the in-depth information about the culture, the inner workings, style, and architecture of the different alien species. So out of all of them, I'd have to say the Xi'an history, physiology, and language.
Nice.
It's going to be kind of interesting to see how we tackle the language part.
Yeah, it was cool to see part of it a little while ago with the Mandual language, and I'm looking forward to seeing the Xi'an as well. For me, it's going to be the art and tech of Stanton. I'm really curious to see the rest of Stanton and to see how it's been built, how they're building star systems, and one of the things I actually really like about this lineup is all of them are interesting in their own ways.
Yeah. There isn't a thing on that list that I'm like, oh, that's going to be a boring hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was hoping for some more things about the Vandal, or something like the League Against Salivating Monsters, or the Committee for the Liberation and Integration of Terrifying Organisms and Their Rehabilitation into Society. Although the downside of that, the abbreviation is clitoris.
That's a downside?
Needless to say, it would be a very stimulating panel.
If you could find it. I hear it doesn't even exist.
You just look for the little boatman and everything be fine.
Oh, I'm so glad I decided to wait to take a drink.
Okay, so moving right along. I wanted to touch briefly on something else that's been coming out regularly the past week or so, and that is the shipyard updates. Have any of you guys had a chance to check them out?
I read the thruster one because I like engines.
Damn it, I was going to say you like to thrust. All right.
That too.
How about you, Des?
And everyone thought with Eric here it was going to be a sensible podcast.
Why me? Anyway.
Because you're the most responsible out of all of us.
Sometimes.
And knowledgeable.
All right.
And best memory.
Des, did you get a chance to look at these?
Which ones? I'm sorry.
The shipyard updates.
I got a chance to look at two of them. The last two I didn't get a chance to. I'm sorry.
Well, that's pretty much me too.
The first two that I saw made a lot of sense, and a lot of it just seemed common sense. And it alluded back to what their intent was when they first came up and were pitching the idea of Star Citizen and Squadron 42. It's just kind of going into more detail, actually making sure that everything behaves the way it does. It's not like they're just arbitrary, so that later on when the assault comes out, my ship doesn't fly this way or that way or the other. Well, it's because it's this heavy, it's made of these materials, it's made by this type of race which typically uses these alloys.
Mm-hmm.
You've got it off center of your it's not the center of gravity. Your cargo is way over, you're carrying way too much that you're rated for. And you put heavy weapons on a light ship, so I mean, don't complain. So it makes perfect sense.
No, absolutely, and it's nice to see them sort of getting all of that straightened out. As they were saying, a lot of the ship masses were really out of whack, and they also in the process of actually discovering what the mass was for each ship. They actually found a bunch of bugs with the ships as well that were causing their destruction to not work properly, and for them to not fly properly. So it's just it was a good effort all around, and it should make the game world make more sense. The ships should feel as heavy as they look. If you have this super advanced alien ship, it's going to be lighter and more nimble than you would expect it to be because it's made of these super crazy alloys. It is interesting to see that they're also connecting again between MISC and the Xi'an, and they might be introducing some of those alloys into MISC ships. So that was a really interesting part as well. I haven't got to the last two yet. I started reading the ship technical information one. But one thing I thought was interesting, and it was actually the first one, was just careers and roles. And they're just trying to get a better sense of where all the ships fit into the universe. Also, it sounds like they might have changed some of the ships slightly to fit them into their role better.
Hey, Nehkara. 3 minutes ago, they uploaded another shipyard.
Oh, cool. So that one's going to be the weapon hardpoints?
Yep. Thank you, Fire M, by the way, for sending that.
That's strange. I just refreshed the page and it won't go there. But I will go look at otherwise.
I know them finally rearranging the way that thrusters are categorized makes so much more sense now. And while they still don't have like a thrust rating, so it's kind of like now it's like, oh, that's a main engine, and it's either VTOL or it's not, so it's either stationary or it isn't. That's really nice, but there's no real way to tell like all right, this engine has this much more thrust than this engine, and the differences between them, other than what they look like discernibly from the eye. So
I mean, this is all tying in with careers, because for me, I just want to be able to go to someone like Nitro and say, make ship go faster so I can do shooty better. And he's the one who's going to look into that, whereas I'm the one who knows how to shoot someone better, so I can give him the money to do that, and he gives the money to me one day to do an escort mission for him, and the circle of Star Citizen life.
Me need new parts. You shooty bang bang for me.
So one thing that Des had brought up is that actually no, it wasn't Des, it was Shiver. Sorry, was the dearth of content this year. Do you think this kind of thing, the shipyard and the new CitizenCon format, is that going some way to filling in that gap of missing information?
It could be.
It's better than a kick in the nuts, I guess.
A lot of things are better than kicking.
But for people who are streaming this game, trying to advertise this game by streaming, like Bock Beer, for instance, then there's only so many times you can stream 2.6.3 before it's just done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do agree on that aspect. My great hope is that once 3.0 is out, the addition of the Delta patcher will allow them to patch much more often.
Yep.
And will kind of not completely eliminate, but somewhat cut down on the huge monolithic patches.
They'll probably be much more tempted to be like, all right, well, we finally added this armor to the game, and it works really well, so we'll push out a little 50 megabyte patch that adds it in there. So
yeah, I don't think they'll be adding things like
pipeline.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be adding things like planets or systems that way, but things like ships that already fit within existing game mechanics, armor, items, but more importantly, things like fixes. Where before, if they wanted to fix something, you had to download 20 gigs for them to fix like 3 bugs. Now they fix 3 bugs and it's 100 megs, so it's a big difference.
Toby Tage says Delta patch does not mean automatic new content, and no, it does not. But if they don't want to do a huge patch and they've got X many things or something they want to get in sooner rather than later, they can just say, all right, let's just throw it out there. Or as Nehkara said, if there's really bad bugs, they can just get those thrown out there rather than wait for 0.0x patch and so on. So it doesn't mean automatic new content, but it does mean a much better and streamlined way of delivering content that's done or bug fixes.
Yeah, they'll be less tempted, or they'll be more tempted to push things out because of the fact that they don't have to wait for a large change to warrant a 20 gig patch. So.
They also may have more of a rolling evocati than they have, where the evocati might be active most of the time, testing new fixes, and then they'll push them to PTU and then push them to live, like in a sort of a assembly line kind of way. Whereas the evocati were pretty much not being used for about 6 months. And before that, they were used often.
I'd like to know if they can do separate builds, so they could take the whole of evocati and say, split them X many ways. You've got group A, B, and C, and each one's testing a different candidate. But I don't know if there's even any point in doing that. But if there is it now possible, and would there be any benefits to doing that?
Then maybe in the future, one of the things they talked about recently in Burndown was, and it was sort of one of those ones where you're just a fly on the wall. It was an internal discussion. Is they were trying to create multiple environments for their own QA testers. So if they're successful in doing that, then you might eventually see that come to us. But it sounds like they don't even have it internally yet, so it might be a while.
I might have this wrong, but something else that hasn't been mentioned, although they have mentioned it in previous casts, is the the reduced cost for CIG as far as the amount of data having to send out over the lines to everyone, the demand on the system and everything should free things up a good bit as well. Both the taxing on the equipment, the use of the network costs, if there's such a thing involved, that kind of thing.
So I would like everyone to say hi to CIG Sherman, who just showed up a few minutes ago.
Hi, Matt.
And hi.
We're big fans of your work.
We are, absolutely.
If you couldn't tell.
And he says Delta Patcher does not sidestep proper development workflow, bug fixes, or data tuning, much more doable. But not just rush jobbing more meaningful content out the door without proper testing. It's going to be great for manageable patch sizes, no more horrible burden on everyone trying to patch. Mm-hmm. That's basically what I was thinking, yeah. Things that are well and truly done and they won't necessarily have to wait for monolithic patches, but more likely you'd have things like bug fixing or as he says, data tuning, tweaking and balancing would be much easier to do than previously.
Yeah. I just know it means that I'll be playing with my friends more often because I know Shiv has a hard time updating because he has snail internet, and my friend who does have faster internet doesn't play enough to warrant downloading 20 gigs just to play for 20 minutes. So, he often downloads a new patch, we play for 20 minutes, and then he skips like 2 or 3 other patches because he doesn't feel like re-downloading it over and over again. So I'll get to play more often.
I think I'll be on PTU more often as well, because I was having the basically the problem of I would play a build on PTU, mm-hmm. and then I would go to work for the day, come home, and I'd have to download another build. And it might not sound like a lot, but because I have fast internet, but it was 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on the size of it. And a lot of times I would just not end up bothering because I'm like, oh, I have some time, I'm going to jump on and play the PTU, and then I can't play for an hour and a half or an hour or whatever. And so it often ended up with me not bothering. You all right over there, guys?
Leave my PC on all fucking night to download a patch.
Oh, that's what you were busy about.
I'm just going to quickly play the new patch next week.
I loved whenever I'd update and I'd set the download limiter to unlimited, and I would kill the rest of the internet in my house. I mean, I download the patch in 20 minutes, but no one else could use the internet.
Yeah, I know. That's I actually quite like that it has that kind of unbridled power, but it also is kind of funny. You just absolutely slaughter the internet, completely flood the bandwidth capacity. But hopefully now and for the future with the Delta Patcher, it will be much easier for everybody. And I think the big benefit for CIG is I think a lot more people will be in the game regularly. Because I know lots of people who haven't played for months and months because it's just too much of a hassle. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, you combine that with the other problem that is that there hasn't been a significant patch since April. Mm. So that definitely makes it worse. Now, we have 45 minutes left, and how about we jump into questions? People ask questions. Questions are good. Do we have any questions yet, Shiver?
We do.
Ooh.
Do you want to go over them now?
Yes.
Okay. So Heramus,
you're smiling at me really weird. What is there? Something I'm missing here?
No, I am just astounded at your sheer brilliance.
Oh. Okay. Definitely something wrong.
Heramus would like to know: are we going to sleep before CitizenCon? Yes, because it's 6 days away, and we'd probably be dead of exhaustion if we didn't sleep before.
Don't sleep till CitizenCon.
I don't sleep, so
No, that's fair.
Sleep gives you cancer, man.
Yeah.
Everything gives you cancer. It's a secret. Also, I'm going to say right now, people, ask more questions because we don't have enough questions. So ask questions. Questions are good.
The great prince of the forest would like to know, how many Bambis did you orphan on your hunting trip, Nehkara?
0. I had a very, very good time hunting, but unfortunately, no luck this year. So, no. 0 for now. Gonna continue hunting through the fall, though. We'll see. I'll let you know if I orphan any Bambis.
Heramus again would like to know, which CitizenCon presentation are we most excited about and why? We kind of touched on that, didn't we?
But, I don't know. 1 second answer. We'll go around the table real quick. Shiver.
Keynote.
Des.
John history.
And Nitro.
Space Turtle history.
Absolutely. And mine is the art and tech of Stanton. All right. Next question.
Eris, never heard of this guy. Sounds a bit of a weirdo. Has asked, how is my move into my house going?
Probably
good.
terrible.
Excellent. I got the cool like stirrups set up over in the corner, right where Eric likes them. I'm sorry, not Eric. Eris.
Excuse me.
I said I meant to say Eris.
For shame.
I'm just gonna end that bit right there before I say anything else incriminating.
Okay. All right. I should ask the next one. The next one is from Harold Sparhark, and it's for Shiver Bathory. Is soy sauce with eggs really that bad?
Is
as long as the egg is cooked, because I had to eat soy sauce with raw egg at some point. And raw egg, I don't recommend raw egg if you've never eaten it before.
No, it's not great. Tweeb2 asks, do you guys think we may get a trailer or some cutscene from Squadron 42 at this CitizenCon?
Nope.
What do you think, Des?
I wouldn't get my hopes up. It would be a really nice surprise if they just gave us some little something like a tease. But we've probably been teased enough as it is. So, and they definitely have enough listed to fill up the venue. I'm really looking forward to more in-depth type of things. Something that I hate to take us on a rabbit trail, but something you had mentioned before we got into talking about the new Delta Patcher. And we had praised them, or at least I praised them before, about it's nice to see how they're going in depth with the procedure of how they're making Star Citizen and the process they're going through and how they tackle the bugs and getting it ready to ship out to us. Something I miss a lot, and I'm sure it's because it's just not ready to get out to us, is the old deep dives, like that huge deep dive we had about mining ages ago. And the deep dive, I think the next deep dive after that was the deep dive about how to run an airline or be a stewardess or mix drinks and things of that nature, to call it something. And I just really enjoyed it. And I'm surprised that they hadn't followed it up with like a salvaging type of deep dive or maybe medical. And I know they're still working some of the nuances and mechanics and things of that nature out. But I'm kind of surprised still that they haven't come up with something yet. Maybe after this. Sorry, go ahead.
My feeling from that was they were starting to get a little bit nervous with how far away they were from releasing those mechanics when they were doing the actual like design for them. I suspect once we see those mechanics come closer to release, that you'll start seeing those again.
It is nice also, besides the process that they've gone deep into, but we're starting to see it seems like now we're seeing more lore stories coming out again, which is kind of nice. Gives us like snapshots of how they see the verse will be working, different news shows and different personalities in the verse and what have you. It's tough to kind of keep up with them all. But that's the kind of flavor that I really get into. So.
Absolutely. It's always really cool when you've been involved in a game universe for a really long time and you've read all this stuff and then you get into the game and you actually find one of those things that they're talking about. It's definitely it's happened to me before, and it's a really cool moment. Now, sorry, folks, I'm just looking something up right now.
Would you like me to go to the next question?
Yes, absolutely.
Hold on, just to add to that last conversation, Matt Sherman actually just answered the question the same way we kind of did, where those things that they go into deep dive on are kind of too far away to kind of talk about right now. So, way to hit spot on the nose, guys.
Someone called Not Nitro Typat asked, what does everyone think of the new Wolfenstein-esque armor concept from ATV this week? Let's start with the actual Nitro Typat.
I don't know who that Not Nitro Typat guy is, but I like his thinking. I think the
He spelled
armor
S
looks really
wrong.
cool. Did he?
He did.
Oh. I am sure he didn't mean it. No, I think the armor's really cool, but I don't know what you guys think.
I really liked I really enjoyed the armor from this week. I don't know. I actually have thought that most of the armor development for Star Citizen has been really, really solid. The detail is what always gets me. You saw some of the Outlaw stuff, and it looks all like patched together. But if you look really closely, you can see like the wires and like grit stitched together, no, the details are definitely what make games cool and last a long time. And I think they're doing a great job.
Do you have any thoughts on the new armor?
I liked, from what I read in catching up, I liked how they implemented a Japanese type of samurai type of vibe into the armor. God, I hate to be so. It sounds like I'm being critical of some. Everybody's so talented there, and I love the artwork that comes from there. But to me, from what I saw from the heavy armor, seemed like it was kind of just an early concept. I think they're going to probably smooth it out some more. At least I'm hoping so. They did a good job at combining what they had before, the bulk of before, with the style of maybe the Japanese, and they're going to transform it a little bit later on. So I thought it was kind of maybe a first step. The two things that I saw that I hadn't seen before, like I said, I've been gone for 2 weeks, so please don't fault me if this happened a while back, was I got to see the new Outlaw Under Armor, which I thought looked freaking fantastic.
Absolutely.
And then the other one is I saw something, it was in a lineup like you would buy it at one of the stores, and it looked really a lot like the, I want to say Sand People, but the Desert Nomads from the old demo that they showed.
Video?
Yes. And I always thought that was gorgeous looking. So I think they constantly blow me away one way or another. It's just in pieces and in development. So.
It's strange because that's the Wolfenstein armor. Miles KG21 says the Fallout armor. I've seen. I think it was Tofu said Warhammer 40,000. I agree with Des and think it looks a bit samurai, but
yeah.
It's one of the problems is that there's only so many ways that you can do armor on a person that still looks effective and cool, and eventually everything sort of starts to look the same. I mean, if you look at the actual heavy concept compared to maybe a riot cop in full gear, you'll go, oh, it's pretty similar. It's like, well, yeah, it's heavy armor. There's only so many ways you can make a human look padded up without it looking too samey. But I thought it was quite nice, and like Eric says, I love the detail work myself that they put into it. So
I've been calling it the Wolfenstein armor because of the back of the helmet. It's got that like stormtrooper-esque Darth Vader back of the helmet. So I've kind of just been poking fun at that. I do see the samurai influences, but as you said, it's kind of hard to do things that like you can't like piece and part ideas together that haven't already probably been thought of by somebody else somewhere. Because seeing the comments that people have shown on Twitter, or I'm sorry, not on Twitter, on Reddit, the armor, everybody's like, oh, it looks really cool. It reminds me of Wolfenstein or Darth Vader or this Japanese anime movie that I brought up during my show this morning, where there were soldiers that were wearing armor that looked like older versions of the new heavy armor. But I agree with Jeremiah Lee when he said in ATV that the old outlaw armor just looked too much like it was from post-apocalypse now rather than outlaw future. It looked very much like, they had sports gear that they were wearing as armor, and now it looks like something that an outlaw would wear 900 years from now, while still giving off that scary, intimidating look. So.
I wanted to.
I think you're muted, Des.
Sorry about that. Did it again. Before we get out of the armor, the other thing I forgot to mention that you just touched on that I thought was really good is that new light armored helmet. That looks gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
And the influence I kind of saw there was
Dr. Doom.
I'm sorry?
Dr. Doom.
Well, I didn't even think about that, but I was actually kind of thinking of the Star-Lord helmet that kind of...
Oh, yeah.
Kind of reminded me of that a little bit. But I thought it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
As long as we can still do helmet flip, that's all that matters.
So I wanted to quickly touch on something because I haven't been on for a while. Wanted to say it was really, really nice in the letter that Chris sent out a couple weeks ago, or like 10 days ago now, to see the Reclaimer in-engine in Squadron 42.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to post the picture here, but this is... Oh, it actually says it was a render, so maybe it isn't an engine. But it looks like the in-engine model either way. So this is the Reclaimer named Belladonna from Squadron 42. And I love that picture.
Is that a red Starliner? Starfarer, sorry.
It is a red Starfarer, yeah.
Isn't
you can see all
the troop transport?
You can see all the. Is it red? I thought it was green.
It looks like it's been oxidized.
There were variants, weren't there?
But yeah, you can see all the fuel tanks are like free floating. They've been ripped right off. That's pretty cool. But the next question is for Shiver again. Stormy asks, how did you enjoy your trip to Japan? And secondly, did you escape the earthquakes and fighting samurais?
It was bloody brilliant. If you ever get a chance, go, because it's unlike anywhere else, and I regret not being able to go to any of the bar citizens that went on when I was there, but it was at an awkward time, and if I wanted to go for any length of time, I would have had to have got a hotel room to stay the night, and it's just not worth it when you, and yeah, the earthquakes are scary, and fighting samurais, they're not so bad. You can just laugh at their little loincloth.
Yeah, I've been, I think I got a message every day from Shiver that was like, oh, there was another earthquake.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Auntie on the Ball asks, is Nehkara going to win this year's episode of the Postcards Holiday Season Quiz again? Yes. And you can go
Guaranteed now.
You can go ahead with the next question if you want, Shiver.
Do you guys think the female model will be in the game in 2018 from the person known as Turd Burglar?
In 2018? I mean, that's a long time. Like, that's Sure, it's only a couple months away to start, but that's a long time frame. So, yes.
I'm going to say yes. I'm assuming they at least intend to try to have Squadron ready next year. And they will need the female model in the game for a Squadron. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say yes.
Yes.
I'm going to say no, just to be contrary then. And say, no, they've totally... They lost...
They're going to simplify humans down to one gender.
In the future. It will all just be men. Females up and, they had enough of our shit decades before the game started, so they just packed off and they went to their own galaxy. It's a lot prettier and things like that. But that's what I think happened. There are no men in Star Citizen.
So that's the drive to the drive to explore in the game.
That's how you spell
You're looking
ask.
for the women.
Thanks, Asriel.
Okay. Haramis asks, is there some new SpaceX stuff? Yeah, I haven't been on for a while, so absolutely there is. While I was gone...
Have we talked about the passenger rocket ships?
Yes,
go from country
I did go
to country.
through all of that. Yeah, I went through that last time I was on. But in the meantime, there were some notable things that happened. There were two very close together launches. I think they were on the 12th and 14th, or the 10th and 12th. I can't remember. But one was from the East Coast, one was from the West Coast, and they launched or they landed on their respective drone ships. For those who were paying very, 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 very close attention, like I was, there was a fire on the drone ship off the East Coast after the landing. It did not involve the rocket though. There was some damage to it, but the way that they designed those ships is like all of the like structures on board are just like shipping containers, so they can just swap them out with new ones. So there was a fire on board, but they're fairly certain it'll be fixed and ready to go again in very, very soon.
Hey, Nehkara.
May I interrupt you, please, Eric? Commander Hellfire just subscribed, so...
Oh, boy.
We've got to do the wave again.
All right. Woo! Thank you, Commander Hellfire. Just do that for Desmarius. Just for Desmarius. I'm going to beat the crap out of Varys. Also on the SpaceX front, they have another launch coming up. I want to make sure I'm right here, so I'm going to look it up. It's coming up, I think, in about a week, October 30th, so 9 days from now. They're launching KoreaSat 5 from Florida, and that will also be landing on that drone ship that caught on fire, but it will be repaired and ready to go before then. Probably there's been a ton of SpaceX news. I'm not going to go into all of it, but probably the most interesting thing is that a flight was scheduled very impromptu, like out of nowhere. They added another flight to their manifest, and it actually took a couple days before anyone even knew what it was. It's called Zuma. And it's November 16th, and it looks like between the time that they decided to fly it and its actual flight will only be about a month, which for a rocket company is incredibly fast. So that one should be interesting. No one really knows what's on board, but yeah, that'll be another one off the East Coast.
And Nehkara, Rhythm Shifter, has just subscribed. So again, please, your beautiful wave.
Oh, my beautiful wave. You guys are enjoying that, apparently. Oh, boy. Rhythm Shifter 03. All right. Woo! Thank you, Rhythm Shifter 03. I'm really... Oh, no,
and,
here we go.
Oh, my God.
62 has also just subscribed.
Subtrain.
All right, let's see if I can make this one a little smoother, hey? Now everyone's trying. Apparently, I need to be on and do my ridiculous wave, and everyone subscribes. All right, Headicus62, thank you for subscribing. And I do not do this anywhere near as smoothly as Eris does, but thank you very much, guys.
Yes.
Oh my
And we have
Nice
another
try.
subscriber,
Nice try.
Tom
You
RH.
You have to wave yourself.
Oh. Wait, since I subscribed, can I get Shiver to wave for me? Oh.
Oh my gosh, we got
Tom RH just subscribed as
Yes.
well as Nitro and Miles. So I'm going to do
Miles,
one
okay.
really long one.
Look, 3 people have subscribed, Eric. You've got to. You should do the wave at least for that.
Oh, I will. I'm doing it right now.
Now you have something you can rub in
We need
Eris's
tassels on your
face.
chest as well.
Thank you very much to Tom RH, Nitro Typat, and Miles
welcome.
KG21 and Star Lord 6. I'm just going to keep waving for the rest of the show. Keep asking questions, Shiver.
Project Sinus wants to know how late will CitizenCon be?
2 hours.
Cool, bloody hell, you're a cynic, aren't you? You got no blood rushing to your brain. You just pick number.
Exactly. It's always late, so it'll be late. How late it'll be, I'm not really sure. What do you guys think? Nitro and Des? And Chip?
Germany's a bit tight on their security compared with many other countries. So if there's even something slightly ajar, I reckon half an hour.
Well, how long was it for Gamescom? Wasn't it like almost
40 minutes,
was it only 40 minutes?
I think. I can't remember now.
It felt like an
I was
eternity.
drunk.
Were you?
I was.
And I missed it? Oh, wait, no, I didn't. I was there. I don't remember.
Probably, it's a pretty good indicator.
Maybe I was drunk. Oh yeah, I still have to give my estimate for how late. I don't know, an hour. I like being pessimistic. That way things can only get better than I expect.
20 minutes.
And Nolric has just subscribed as well.
Welcome to Space Aerobics with Nehkara.
Space shimmies.
We got to get him a belly dancing belt if this keeps up. I didn't mute y'all, did I?
No,
No. We're waiting for Nehkara to do his wave.
We're all
We're all in
aghast in
bated breath.
anticipation. Exactly.
All right. Go ahead with the next question, Shiv.
Yeah, I was going to
Sorry,
say,
I was
ask
muted.
questions and he has to answer them while he's waving.
Nolric,
Thunderhawk.
thank you very much for subscribing.
Thunderhawk, which isn't that from Warhammer 40,000 as well? Hey guys, I'm glad this is going on. I've had a lagging question I want to talk about. Try improving your ping. The Vanguard, for how it was pitched, it feels incredibly underwhelming. Am I the only one? Is it because multiple shields don't work yet? Let's talk about this. All right, let's talk about this.
Yes.
Yes and no. It is one of the most powerful ships currently you can use, but at the same time, there's no armor because the system isn't in place yet. You bring up an interesting point about multiple shields, although we have got directional shields currently, obviously, don't we? Like 2- and 4-way, but nothing on the ventral and the dorsal.
Byram has a point.
Yes and no.
The Vanguard's redundant systems aren't redundant yet. So.
Yeah, I mean, you've basically got like a slight shell of the ship.
Yeah,
You've got the weapons. You haven't got the full internal system yet.
I think it just needs to keep going the way it is right now until the systems that it requires are implemented fully, and then it will be the ship that it was pitched. But we shouldn't really mess with it right now, because then we'll just tune it for the current system that's going to end up getting replaced by the system that it needs. So,
do you remember the bug when it first came out? That no enemy could target it.
No,
that was pretty overpowered. But that was fun.
Bring that back. Maybe then that guy won't have to complain about anything. I've fought a Vanguard in I can't remember if it was in the universe or in multiplayer, but those things take a lot of bullets.
FPS Maverick. If no one knows the answer to this, I'm disappointed in you all. What type of bees make milk?
Kind of bees make milk?
Boo.
What?
What?
Boobies.
Oh, I knew it was a joke, and
That's a Christmas cracker joke. You should all know that one.
I've already told you, Shiver, that I have a mammary issue.
Thank you for getting that off your chest.
Can't beat the titillating conversation here.
I'm going to resist. Caterpillar asks, have they confirmed that the Pioneer is a construction ship, or is that only speculation still?
I think it's just speculation as far as I know.
They've confirmed that it is the game changer, and they've hinted that that game changer is construction of bases. However, none of it has been officially confirmed at all. So
it's confirmed that it's speculation.
Yes. I think that they really want that panel to actually have some meaning.
Yeah.
At Citizen Con. So they're trying to hide a bit of the detail.
I mean, just don't say anything. Thunderhawk again asks, who remembers Earth Above and Beyond? I remember Space Above and Beyond. Remember the tier crafting system for items? I'm hoping we see something like that in Star Citizen. Thoughts?
I loved that game. It was a weird one. I really, really enjoyed it. It only ever had 25,000 active players, even though it was an MMO. That's why it got killed. But I really did love that game. To this day, I'll never forget the big, strong wow Tada-O ads that you'd hear all the time when you got into the stations. In fact, me and one of my friends still quote that at each other sometimes. I don't remember the gameplay a lot. I mostly fought, so don't really remember the tiered crafting system for items. But I think that a lot of the game systems in Star Citizen are going to be fairly unique. They seem to be pushing things to a much greater depth than most games. So I'm not sure there's going to be a lot of comparisons to be made, honestly. That's sort of my thought.
I mean, goodness, the way they're making this game, just with what they've showed here recently, where they're animating every switch and button in the cockpit. You can make your own machinima movies if you have the patience, and it's like, my goodness.
I mean, even without that implemented yet, people have been making their own machinima movies that are quite well done.
Like, such as Bulkhead's new episode has recently been released. Check it out over on YouTube.
Kinda like that.
Kinda?
When I say machinima, I'm saying like things that are filmed in engine of a couple of people playing, whereas Bulkheads is kind of animated fully by somebody else. So, I mean, Bulkheads is quite good. You should go watch it on YouTube.
Sargorath, my favourite, because that's a brilliant name for a band. How much have you all been playing 263, or are you saving yourself for that someone special? I mean 3.0.
I play 2.6.3 every once in a while, but not very much. I would say I'm mostly saving myself for 3.0. I think there's going to be a lot of gameplay there. So, and as a lot of people have pointed out, you can only play 2.6.3 so much.
I'd play it. I think I played it. What are we on now? We're on up to August. I last played it. For me, it's mostly the hassle of having to get the hose house out, sit there, and having to rebind everything because I've got some weird issue where keybinds don't stay for me. But I've learned my trick of saving the XML, exporting it, and copying it every time I want to play.
I'm saving myself until Maris. So.
What's that, Nitro?
I'm saving myself until marriage. Or 3.0, whichever comes first.
Yeah.
So 3.0, got it.
Hey!
Hopefully.
Yeah, when I can't remember what build it was where I played a good bit of Star Citizen, and I really started getting the feel and the hang of it, and I really enjoyed it. But 2.63 I haven't really played a whole bunch of, due to it not from the fault of the game, just some issues I'm having with my computer that I need to square away, and I put that on the back burner, and there's always something else going on. But hopefully before 3.0 gets released, I'm going to get those issues resolved so I can be ready for it. I'm really looking forward to some more permanence with some of the settings that when you set your joystick up and you set the I forgot what it's called, but the basically the graph and the ratio to where the fall off and the dead zones and things of that nature
The sensitivity.
Thank you. Then it gets set and it stays there, at least for a while.
So, our next question is from Spaceship Training Wheels. Assuming the Pioneer is a base builder, what methods do you think CIG might use to prevent bases from being spammed all over the place? I'm already assuming players will find ways to overcome time sinks and money sinks. Shiver, what do you think?
Other players. Simple as that. Just have other players have it. So basically, you've got a base there. If you can't be there to guard it, then someone's going to nick it.
Like a rust style thing.
Well, I was thinking of armor mods, but yeah, it's all rust. Yeah, if you want to say that.
Rust, arc, whatever.
Eve.
Yeah.
I was thinking even just because a lot of people don't really grasp this yet. The sheer enormity of the physical play area. Unless you have an inordinate number of players, it'll be really hard for it to get really crazy. In terms of like the concentration of buildings. But there will definitely be, I'm sure, some regulations or even just restrictions on where you can build things. Like maybe the area has to be flat. Mm-hmm. I think that's something that will be a really exciting thing for us to get to work on with CIG through playtesting.
I mean, they could approach it of saying, you have to have so much space between another player's building, but then you prevent towns from being built that way. And
yeah, exactly.
I can see them wanting like player-made towns because I can't think of anything that's done that since Star Wars Galaxies.
Yeah, can you imagine like a Levski-style establishment that was entirely player-made?
That would be really cool. It'd also be a total like cluster, but it'd be great.
I mean, yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention is that back to what Shiver was saying with players, like it's likely that players will destroy each other's bases as well, which will like people will want their own territory, and they'll probably have some base destruction as well going on there. Next question is also from Spaceship Training Wheels. What betting odds would you give that CitizenCon will give us good looks at Microtech, Hurston, and the Crusader landing zones? Specifically with Crusader, I believe he's talking about the actual Crusader floating cities.
Oh yeah, I forgot
their
that
city.
Thing.
Yes, and they are also supposed to be in.
Will Lando be there?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe he is.
What about
What?
Lobot?
I don't know.
Oh.
Mando truly belongs amongst the clouds.
I actually have no idea what I think the likeliness of them showing that would be. So
I think it's incredibly likely because they have a panel called the Art and Tech of Stanton.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure we're going to get really good looks at pretty much everywhere in Stanton in that panel. So I'm going to give it a 80% likelihood.
Because, like you said, they've shown up on the schedule, these things that people are working on it. And it's not like someone's got work for 3.0 to do. Oh, they finished all their work for 3.0. Guess I'll just come into work and twiddle my thumbs all day. I bet they wish it was.
wait, that's not what they do?
But
Nope.
no,
Oh,
they sit there and they work their asses off, and sometimes they have to be forced to go home.
It's true.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, didn't y'all mention that sometimes on the weekends and or holidays they have to chase them away because they keep coming back in? I mean,
Thank
there's
you.
been
YG1, also good to see you.
I could honestly see that because, like, visiting the Austin office, I felt like, I mean, I can probably understand that once you've been there for a while, you probably wouldn't feel the same as somebody, an outsider looking in, but I wouldn't want to leave. This seems like a fun place to hang out. They're all really nice people. They all probably love hanging out with each other. And
They like their job. I mean, they're when they get to make Star Citizen, usually, a guy from a publisher comes in and says, "Oh, well, you can't do that. You got to drop X many pixels so we can get this in. You got to drop this." Yeah. Whereas the artist told the exact opposite. It's like more pixels, go more nuts, and it's like, okay. And tech designers have basically said, here's a challenge. Get this, and this all in the same game together. Oh, okay. And this is why people work at CIG. You're not going to get rich working at CIG, but you're going to get a lot of experience, and you're going to work on something in an almost Google-like environment.
Yep. Yeah, they're
totally.
not set up in like cubicles and whatnot. They're all set up in like areas where they're in like a square-ish area where they can like spin around and talk to each other, and they have all their cool stuff hanging from their ceiling and stuff like that. Like I said, Tyler had a Halo Warthog sitting on his desk, and me and him sat and talked about that for a minute. So.
Next question.
Rock and Anchor asks a question very close to my heart. What do you think of the new Star Trek show on Netflix?
So, it's close to your heart. What do you think?
Well, I think it would have been nice if they gave us the show they promised that was going to be set in the prime timeline. I can think of several things wrong with this thing, like holographic communication 50 years before the original series, when the Defiant in Deep Space Nine only just got one, and that was prototype 200 years after the original series. But no, that's fine. The Delta Patcher that they were wearing, that shouldn't have been happened until the first 5-year mission of the Enterprise happened, because that was a tribute to them all. Previously, every ship in the Federation had their own unique insignia.
Well,
no, let's just ignore that.
If you think about it, though,
to this elephant in the room. Hang on, I'm not fucking done yet. Let's get to this fucking elephant in the room, right? We're going to talk about a fucking mushroom that spreads its roots across the galaxy, and that's going to allow for faster than light travel rather than an antimatter explosion. Also, the fuck is this? A giant fucking mushroom in subspace? What the fuck?
Are you sure that it was a mushroom?
If you could put that aside, it's all right.
Are you sure it was a mushroom floating in space, or were they just eating the mushrooms?
I think both.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to take the contrary opinion. I actually really, really am enjoying the new Star Trek show.
I like it for what it is, but it's not fucking Star Trek. If you want Star Trek,
it is Star Trek. It's just different. Come on.
Star Trek.
Oh, and
Yes,
Shiv, the Delta Patch thing, they got that in 3.0. That's why they have it.
Yeah, exactly. No, I personally am quite enjoying it. It's not on, unfortunately, in Canada and the US. It's not on Netflix, but the rest of the world can enjoy it on Netflix.
That's why I haven't seen it.
But yeah, it's on Netflix for I think like 180 countries, but then in Canada and the US, it's not. However, I'm really enjoying the new show. It's nice to see Star Trek back, and I would disagree somewhat. I mean, it's not. I think it would feel weird for them to have a modern Star Trek show and have like really, really old tech in the show. But then again, I also don't think they should have set it in the past in Star Trek. I think it's been way too long since they actually explored what happened beyond the end of Voyager.
They killed a decent captain in like the first episode, and I was like, oh, I'm not really sure I want to watch it anymore.
She was really good, but I'm really curious to see how it's going to go forward. There's some really cool characters so far, so yeah, no, I like it. I would recommend everyone at least give it a shot. It's enjoyable. I'm gonna try watching the Orville. I've heard mixed reviews.
I've been wanting to watch it.
Mixed feelings about the Orville, because it tries so hard to be like a homage to Star Trek Next Gen, and at the same time have Seth MacFarlane's humor in it. Yeah, you're conflicted watching it because you're like, am I supposed to be invested in the storyline or just having a laugh here?
Yeah, I was kind of iffy about it when I first saw it because I'm like, oh, it's Seth MacFarlane. He has a very particular type of humor that isn't my type. And then it was like brought to you, or it was like, what was it? Directed by Jon Favreau. I was like, I like his stuff. I'm okay with that.
The last episode I watched called Krill was actually directed by Jonathan Frakes.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I think.
Yeah, William Riker.
Yeah, I think they said that they're going to have like multiple directors over multiple episodes, but Jon Favreau was one of the ones that they advertised in the trailer, and I'm like, I like his stuff, so I will probably check this out. He also plays a really good bodyguard.
Yes, he does.
So we have one final question from Heramus. They are going to build an FPS weapon on Sitcon directly for the game. Will it be a game mechanic, or will it be like in the community hour?
Probably the community hour thing.
Probably in the community hour, but I mean, I think any of those things, if they're good enough ideas, have a chance of making it into the game eventually. You just can't do it in an hour.
No.
Those things take a long time. Yeah.
I mean,
that's an interesting thought. I didn't know about that, Commander Hellfire, that the Orville is an episodic show. There hasn't been an episodic show on TV in like a decade, at least.
It is really trying to pay homage to TNG in that regard of just virtually all episodes can be shown in virtually any order, obviously apart from the first one so far. But there have been times I've been annoyed at the Orville for being more Star Trek than Star Trek Discovery.
I will disagree.
Okay.
I think it's just an evolution of Star Trek into something more modern. But
I think that we should just all eat some shrooms and watch all of it.
That sounds about right.
Hey,
all
Nitro,
right.
you sound like a fun guy.
Thanks, Shiv.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cause any trouble.
At least you tried. What, nobody's going to rise to the occasion for that?
No one can hear you, Des.
You're very quiet, Des.
Am I? I'm not muted.
Yeah.
I got
You're
your
less quiet.
I got your yeast jokes, Des. Don't worry, I appreciate them.
Thank you.
Apparently,
Matt Sherman.
what's needed from Matt Sherman is a remaster of Babylon 5. Actually, I'm going to personally say one of the things that I really, really, really want to see, and it sounds like it might never happen. I would really love to see them do an HD version of DS9, which is my favorite Star Trek. But I don't think they made very much money on the TNG one, so I don't know if it'll ever happen. But that makes me sad. I hope they eventually do it.
And Space Above and Beyond, I want them to do their actual plot line rather than what they had to do in the end.
Back in the day, that show was really, really good. I think it was extremely underrated.
It was, especially at the time, it was very different because you had humanity actually fighting a desperate war rather than being all, we're superior, and everything's great, and we're going to get on well with all the aliens.
All right, guys. We are at the end of our time, which has actually happened pretty fast. And we actually got through all of our questions, which is also odd. So I just want to thank everyone for coming this week. I also want to thank I think I got a count of 7 paid subscribers and 3 Twitch Prime subscribers as well. So thank you very much. My arms are tired. And I'll be giving Eris shit for not being here. But thank you everybody for coming, all 84 of you who are here with us now, and everyone who left partway in between because we made a bad joke. The next time you see us will not be next Saturday. We will be covering CitizenCon, which is only 6 days from now. It's next Friday. Be sure to tune in for that. We will very likely be live for most of the day. Probably starting very early in the morning in North America and heading into the afternoon. And just huge thanks again to everyone here who joined me, Desmarius, Nitro, and Shiver. And everyone have a great day. Thanks for watching the Relay Station. Bye-bye.